let's just continue that discussion, putting a little more structure behind those initial comments of mine. I'll show you what I mean. We've looked at this in other tutorials in recent times. We're celebrating 3 centuries and 4 photographies, and this move from analog to generative AI. And we, more than ever, I think, have that overarching concern to locate ourselves within these histories. Those people who firmly stay in the analog world and simple technology they can recreate from the 1800s to this very day, wet collodion, platinum printing, and so forth, all the way through to generative AI. Now, if I think about an artistic process, and I'm not talking about photography, I'm not talking about anything except a process from one's imagination, one's experience, one's engagement, through to turning that into, visualizing that into something else that we then craft and render and create a work from all of that, a work of literature, a work of painting. But when we look at photography specifically as a subset of all genres of possible artistic endeavor, I think there's an exceptional and interesting dilemma that exists for photography. That is another way of thinking about locating ourselves within the plethora, or the pantheon really, of possibilities. Now, practice and execution. My friends on the sporting field, my friends performing as musicians on a stage, so many of my friends, their work is practice day and night for that moment of performance, that moment of execution, and so on. Absolutely. The problem is so many photographers I meet who love photography, adore photographic processes, and spend as much of their time in photography. The idea of practicing and executing are almost one and the same. We just go out with a camera and start taking photographs, simultaneously practicing, but simultaneously executing. This really flummoxed me many years ago when I came to the realization how much time I spent practicing before going out and taking photos, executing that practice. I was working as if I was still a musician or a painter or something else. In academia, especially in our postgraduate seminars, you would practice so many of those ideas and phrasings and whatnot on your wonderful cohort before months later turning up at a conference and actually presenting the paper. Practice for execution. And I discovered that I spent all this time calibrating, practicing, trialing, figuring this, testing, evaluating, so that when I went out and executed, I wasn't practicing. I wasn't having to think about f-stops and shutter speeds. They had become so embedded in my psyche, my intuition, that I could get on with business. Now, look what I've put opposing that. Subtractive versus additive. Now, I'm not talking about color models. I'm using the same nomenclature, the same idea. So much art that I revere and spend my days listening to, looking at great works of art. 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, music, literature, it's all additive. The writer starts with a blank page and begins adding words and phrases and thoughts and ideas and builds the work of art. Now, photography can work that way. Certainly it's how Andre and I work. I'll show you an example or two in a second. But for a lot of my friends for whom practice and execution are one and the same thing, I think of it more as a subtractive process. Now, I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong. There's no judgment about these dichotomies. But in that fraction of a second, our lens draws and our senses or film captures so much more instantaneously, often way beyond even our ability to imagine in the moment all of those possibilities. And it's one of the incredible things about photography as to how we can remove and refine and subtract and excavate and discover more and more within those pictures, as long as you've got the time and the wherewithal. That's one of the great advantages of photography. Through intuition, through apprehension, we capture so much more. That also seems the best of times to capture stuff within us that is sub our consciousness, sub our everyday temporality and understanding and engagement with, that goes above and beyond. So when I think of photography and this process where pre-production dominated pre-production was proper production, then this increasing movement through the 20th century to post-production, and now in the 21st century, so much is outsourced to AI-inspired plugins. So the problem for photography, and not commercial photography, I'm talking about photography whose outcome is nothing more than our own whims and thoughts and feelings and experiences, and attempting to know and understand and engage with and hopefully publish and share some of that, just on the off chance that it might be of some interest or help to someone else. But certainly in the first instance, we're doing this out of sheer necessity. Now, in this craft of photography, again, so much can blend execution and practice into the one occasion. But when it comes to this workshop, when it comes to understanding photography, we're still dealing with the two sides of the lens. We're still dealing with that privilege, drawing with a lens, imagined our concerns on our side of the lens, and the referent, drawing with a mind versus drawing with a lens. Now, the problem in understanding pictures and remembering at the heart of this is this division. Images about images and words about words, and how these two conditions come together to create what Vico called poetic logic. But in photography, we can't be simultaneously practicing something like pictorial design, how images come to represent more than they show, all of the things we go on about in this workshop that we call understanding pictures. We can't be in the field, we can't in the studio be thinking about practicing pictorial design and simultaneously executing if we're trying to reveal other things. Otherwise, the execution is just practicing pictorial design and then worrying why the images never seem to transcend the referent. No matter how spectacular the moment in front of the lens is, never seem to command the response you get when you look at other works you admire and try your hardest to emulate. So I think this is a really interesting creative dilemma, not bad dilemma, as to where on this pantheon of practicing for execution, where we choose to invest our time and our understanding and apply the knowledge from studying with us back out into the world, not as practice, but going beyond the elements and the principles of pictorial design and everything else in this workshop, but not forgetting within oneself where at a subconscious level, all of those elements, all of those principles, all of those coming together is just part of our intuitive grasp of pictures. So automatically you put something different in every corner. Automatically you start working with diagonals intentionally. Automatically you start working with even versus odd division, syncopation, and so on. Look at this image, right? Now, hang on, how on earth am I seeing those sides of the object and yet everything is still rectilinear? Of course, I've moved my camera way to the right so I can see around corners, but kept the sensor parallel to the architecture, no distortion, no convergence in the drawing composition. But then I'm focused on this part of the building. So my lens gets shifted to the left to reframe the composition. So I'm looking diagonally, but everything is still rectilinear because I wanted all of these intervals, which are uneven. There's harmony in the two doors, but everything else is the opposite. So it's old, it's known, but it feels wrong, or something's not quite right, or maybe what's lurking behind those doors or behind the building or behind me, trying to conjure that complex feeling where you're dealing with a colonized, imposed, turning country into landscape, to invoke those conflicting emotions of finding myself in a colonialized outpost blind to tens and tens of thousands of years of what else I'm not even aware of. Yes, I did a lot in terms of camera craft to set up the drawing and the tonal and the color compositions, but I'm not practicing. This is not an exercise. This is me knowing all of that camera craft, having practiced over and over again. It's how in an additive world of art you work. Now, what about one of Andre's hyper objects? Impossible objects. Objects whose framing and conceptualizing and complexity and conflicting ideas, thoughts, feelings, origins is so much bigger than what a human mind can possibly conceive of. That's why we call them hyper objects. And here's this impossible chunk of ocean floating in this, a 100% constructive, 100% additive, from Andre visualizing, creating and lighting and using the virtual lens to capture it from this perspective, turning the 3D world into these series of 2D representations, giving it the authenticity of a photographic image, a photographic print in this case. But in fact, it's anything but photographic. It's computational. But then when you go to, let's say, a Bill Henson, Paris Opera, this incredible series of his, and discovering that he didn't create the images he desired, he felt were necessary at the Paris Opera. He had to come all the way back to his studio here in Melbourne and stage with actors these moments, which then became this extraordinary series. Paris Opera, all 50 by 50 inches, larger than life. 100% additive, even though Bill's using the beauty of film, essentially a subtractive process. But what is captured is as constructed, as organized, the models chosen and the lighting and everything he has built in order to then be given the authority of a photograph. How extraordinarily obvious when you think about it. But again, taking these examples, myself, Andre, Bill, and on this diagram, seeing where our tendencies have naturally gone and what we have combined or excluded as part of the process. In fact, the philosophy, the reason for doing this in order to enable that or this to happen. And I just offer this as a simple summary of what I see as this dichotomy / dilemma. Remember, not a bad dilemma, a wonderful opportunity to once again reconsider, re-engage with ourselves and our photographic, let alone artistic undertakings, in order to then help ourselves, further ourselves in the doing, the making, the realizing that we need to do, where practice turns the unknown into the familiar and the desired. The doing and the thinking and the construction and the making that we need to do out of absolute necessity, because I'm doing something that is of no use in the real world apart from dealing with the entirety of the real world, etc., etc. So I'll leave it there as a summary of some of these concerns, and hopefully another way of tying together our earlier comments about color harmonies, color discord, hue versus saturation versus the drama, the tonal composition, all of these other structural pictorial design considerations that this workshop of ours, Understanding Pictures, is devoted to. Hopefully that's a little extension, perhaps an annotation, but with that one key element, this conscious division of practice from execution, despite the fact we're working with photography. And we're working with the history of photography, telling us over and over again, it's more a subtractive rather than an additive undertaking. Just choosing to then bias, retension, reprioritize those different considerations, practice, execution, subtractive versus additive, according to facilitating not the history of photography, but our own creative undertakings. Anyway, I'll leave it at that, just in case it's of some help.